All right, everyone. Hey, welcome to a first recording, first session of Going for Two. This is a show where we're going to be dedicating ourselves to football talk across the league, where we discuss all the ins and outs of the football season. We have here your host, me, Albert Moore. You call me ABM. And of course, with the star of the show himself, extra crispy Chris Rivera. So tell everyone how you doing today, Chris.
I'm doing all right, man. We are mid-season. Mid-season vibes are kind of okay right now. They're not great, but they're not terrible. But I'm ready to talk about them.
Excellent. All right. Well, in fact, let's go and get right into it. The first topic we're going to jump into are the Chiefs, who are running high, undefeated. But Patrick Mahomes has not been playing his best football as of late. In fact, some would say this is Patrick Mahomes' worst season. So you have to ask the question, is Patrick Mahomes still a threat in the league? Like, is he someone that you can just kind of sleep on and have to worry about the rest of the Chiefs? Or is he still that top tier quarterback?
Personally, I think he is still that top-tier quarterback. The fact
Mhm.
that he can play kind of downplaying his ability and still be, this is the first time they've been undefeated since he's taken over. At this far in the season, this is the first time they've ever been 6-0. And he has more interceptions than he does touchdowns, which makes no sense, but it makes a lot more sense when you realize they also have one of the best defenses in the league. Steve
It helps to scale
Spagnuolo,
up.
Steve Spagnuolo, I don't know what it is about him. He wasn't a great head coach, but he can coordinate like none other. It's crazy how good that defense can be when it needs to be.
Do you feel as if, especially with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, that this makes them a better team? Because I know they were kind of suffering in the receiver position. Or is it odd that they didn't even try to get Tyreek Hill, considering that he kind of was flirting about coming back in that point?
See, the thing is, I think Tyreek Hill wanted to go back to the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs wanted Tyreek Hill to come back. And they put an emphasis on that, in my opinion, by not only getting DeAndre Hopkins, but they brought back Kareem Hunt, a guy who was, they kicked off the team because he was problematic. They brought him back. They didn't even bother calling Tyreek Hill. That to me, that relationship is over.
Oh, so not even as a free agent, you don't
No,
think he'll be able to come back?
no,
Just
because
stick
I
it
think
out.
he's gonna want too much money when he comes back. That was part of the reason why they let him go. He wanted what, 30 million, and they weren't gonna give him 30 million.
No, but you know what? Some people may argue he might just sacrifice the money to come back and get that Super Bowl. Because let me tell you, he got paid in Miami,
He
and I'm
did.
304 for taking all his money at this point because he got six baby mamas, if not more. And I think at this point, you want to just go ahead and like, what's more important, making your bread or getting your championship? 'Cause that's the thing that's still eluding him. I think at this
Yeah.
point.
He has a ring, but
Oh, that's
Patrick
true.
Mahomes has three rings. And Travis
Possibly
Kelsey
four.
also has three. He could have four coming. So, but the fact that Tyreek Hill he has that one because he was on the 2019 team. He was the one who caught the ball on that big pass that all the Niners fans are still mad about, me included.
The cheetah, as fast as he is. So I mean, based on how the Chiefs are going, though, do you still project them to get out of the AFC, or do you see another
Oh
team
yeah.
that could possibly get in their way?
No, the only teams right now in the AFC that I can see standing toe to toe with the Chiefs, depending on how healthy they are when they see them, are the Ravens, who don't historically have a great postseason record or regular season record against them. And if they can play well enough and get healthy, maybe the Texans. I don't really see another team in the AFC right now that's scary to them. I mean, the Bengals don't have a great defense. They already beaten them. The Bills, I don't know what it is about Josh Allen. He just perennially just loses to Patrick Mahomes. He has beaten him in the regular season, but he can't beat him in the playoffs. He just can't beat him. I don't know what it is. You can say the refs. I'm not a big refs guy. I'm not a big the refs are helping Patrick Mahomes. Do I think that he gets calls that he probably shouldn't get? Maybe, but he's the face of the league. It happened with Brady. I don't know who the face of the league was before Brady specifically, but when you're this top dog, you get top dog calls. So, do I think the Chiefs are going to make it out of the AFC? I don't see who stops them. I don't see who
Mm,
stops them.
I got the Ravens. I do like the Ravens. You know what? I actually do want to transition that to Lamar Jackson to some degree
Mm,
because I think Lamar Jackson is a top tier player as well in his own right.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson, though, is, I think he's missing that Super Bowl. So the real question comes down from me to you is he ever going to win one? Do you think he'll win one in the long term of it all, or do you think he'll be one of those greats who just happen to miss it?
This is a hard question because I think Lamar Jackson is incredibly talented. I think he's fast. He can throw a lot better than he gets credit for. I don't know if he's going to win a Super Bowl on this team. I'll leave
The
that
Ravens?
there. I don't know if he's going to win a Super Bowl under John Harbaugh. I think John Harbaugh might be on his way out. Like maybe a couple more years. I think he might just be done. I don't think he's going to get fired per se. He might get kind of guided out the door like Pete Carroll did. Like, okay, John, we're going to move you up to consultant, but you're not going to be the head coach anymore. It's
Really?
just,
That's
it's the product is getting, I get they were just in the AFC title game. I get that. But what happened in the AFC title game? Your whole strength was running, and then you just stopped running. You had Lamar throw the ball way more than he normally does in the second half into double coverage, triple coverage. What happened, John? Like you had a system. You had a system that works. And I don't know if I'm just only talking to John Harbaugh or if I'm also talking to Kyle Shanahan here. But what happened? You had a
hmm.
system. The system worked. Now it's not working, but you're still running the same system. It's working in the regular season. It's great right now. Now, the signature behind the Ravens was their defense, and they don't have that anymore. Their defense is not great. They're in shootouts now. Now, if every game from now to the Super Bowl is a shootout, I might take Lamar in that one. Because I don't think the Chiefs, as good as they are, they're not built for a shootout. They're not built for that right now. They're built defensively. They're built to stuff you and shut you down. If you can get offensively going against them, I don't know if the Chiefs are built for a comeback.
Really? Ooh. Another to add on to that, not only did the shootout benefit the Ravens, but because they have Derrick Henry and of course Lamar in his legs, they also can dictate the clock if they were to get that lead, where they could just start. Because the best way to beat Patrick Mahomes, to my
Keep
understanding,
them off the
keep him on
field.
the bench. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep him on the sideline and watch the game. That's the best way to beat him. And I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I do think that Lamar has a good chance of possibly winning with this team. I like to think storybook ending for all people. They gave it to Peyton Manning. Why can't they give it to John Harbaugh? How about you do this? Get him to the Super Bowl. He wins. Harbaugh retires.
Now,
Bookend. That's it.
what happens if the Ravens get to the Super Bowl and lose? Then what?
Well, he go out. He's still low. I think he still goes out. It does become a question of what you do with Lamar from that point, because I still think
Yeah.
Harbaugh would just go out. But I do think if Lamar goes to the Super Bowl and lose, I think criticism on him would be kind of heavy. You just talent. That's another reason why I think Lamar will win, because he's such a talented QB. His passing is pretty accurate now. Of course, he's still one of the fastest, most elusive people out there. So if he doesn't win, oh, it's going to be a rainstorm of criticism that comes down on him, especially depending on how they lose.
Because the real question is going to be if the Ravens somehow get to the Super Bowl, which means they beat the Chiefs, they get by the Bills, they get by possibly the Bengals if they make the play. I don't see the Bengals in the playoffs right
Mm.
now. The Texans, they got to get by them at some point. Maybe the Colts. I don't trust in anyone else right now in the AFC South. Um, I don't trust Anthony Richardson at all. Um, Dude
Just the
can't stay
Texans.
healthy to save his life. Yeah. But if they get there, who in the NFC can beat them in the Super Bowl? Because it's not, if I'm going to be honest, if the Niners get there, I don't see them beating the Ravens. They can't stop the run. I don't see the Cowboys even making it to the Super Bowl. I don't see the Ravens losing to the Eagles. I don't see the Ravens losing to the Commanders if they get there.
What about
And
Detroit?
that's the only one. That is the team. Now, last year, those two teams played when they had a defense and they wiped the floor with the Lions. It was 38-6. The Ravens took on the Lions and the Niners and just embarrassed both of them. But now they don't have that defense. They don't have it anymore. And the Lions offense, as you can see, the Lions offense is kind of good. Even with the loss of possibly David Montgomery, they still have Jahmyr Gibbs, they still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, they still have Sam Laporta. Those guys can catch, even though Laporta hasn't done much this year. That offense is good. They put up 40 points twice already against the Seahawks and against the Cowboys. They put up 42 or higher. And they
Detroit.
beat the Vikings. They knocked out the Vikings cleanly, not like the Rams did, but cleanly. But Detroit is dangerous. Like we run into a possibility that we could have the storybook Ravens Lions Super Bowl, but who gets their storybook ending? Is it Jared Goff finally winning his first Super Bowl,
No.
or is it Lamar Jackson winning his first Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's Lamar. It's Lamar. Trust me when I tell you that it's Lamar. I like that idea. I don't like the
Yo,
idea about the Lions.
you know, like this, it's the best story in sports. The Lions, they would make a movie out of that. All right, the Detroit Lions get it done all the way to the Super
Oh,
Bowl.
I can't be mad at that because they would make a movie out of that because they made a movie out of Kurt Warner and his run to the Super Bowl.
They
I believe
did.
they'll do that, but still, I don't think it's going to move. It's a movie that's being made in the alternate universe because it ain't happening in this one. But we're going to go ahead and transition to another topic. You mentioned the
That's
49ers. We do got to talk about them.
unfortunately.
Oh, don't say that. So let me ask you, based on the measures of how these teams are put together, or how this team is put together, who do you think is actually more valuable? Nick Wright had a whole opinion piece where he thought that Shanahan would still be a very valuable piece in the league if it was an open market for coaches between Brock Purdy if it was an open market for quarterbacks. So as a 49ers fan, I'm going to ask you, who do you think is more valuable to the team, Brock Purdy or Kyle Shanahan?
I think if you had asked me this 2 seasons ago, maybe even 3 seasons ago, I would have easily told you Kyle Shanahan. We had gone to the Super Bowl. We were a playoff team. This was before the Brock Purdy injury. Now that we have him, even with the Trey Lance and Jimmy debacle, I still would have told you Kyle Shanahan is more valuable than whatever we have under center. But now that we have Brock Purdy, now that we've seen Brock Purdy play both with and without, as Nick Wright calls them, the Avengers, we've seen his play and we've seen Kyle's almost refusal to change his scheme. It's been 8 years, Kyle. I think it's time. I think it's time for Kyle to go if we don't make the playoffs this season. So to answer your question, I'm going with Brock Purdy. And it's for a specific reason, because I got into an argument with other 49ers fans about this. They said, if we lose Kyle Shanahan, we lose the people who helped build this team. And I said, not really. We've had the same scouting team since before Kyle Shanahan. Our scouting team on the Niners has been in place since 2014. We've had Kyle Shanahan since 2017. So that means guys that we scout, guys like George Kittle, guys like Fred Warner, guys like Brock Purdy, guys like Deebo Samuel, they were all scouted by guys that we had well before Kyle got here. Probably going to be here if Kyle goes. So I trust the team to put pieces around Purdy, and I just think we need a better offensive scheme around him to do. So
Ooh.
to answer your question, I am voting for Brock Purdy getting Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions after they inevitably lose in the playoffs or Super Bowl.
Ooh, sound like some shots were fired. Look at that. I
Yes,
don't like the
yes,
whole
they are.
concept of Shanahan. So, I mean, if you're saying that, then what, this season, Shanahan's out of there? Is that it? He's done?
Right now, we are 3-4. We are last in the division. And if you take a look at the Niners' upcoming schedule, I had predicted at the beginning of the season we would go 10-7, which means at most we can lose 3 more games on the schedule. And off the rip right now, if you had to ask me based on the schedule who those 3 games would be, I'm guessing right now Green Bay, Buffalo, and Detroit. We're gonna lose those games.
Okay, so that's okay. Keep that in mind. You got that on the
Yeah.
record there.
Yeah.
So I almost have to ask you. Let's go through the rest of the week here and let's start predicting who's going to win these games. But before we do, let's get to the last night's game between the Rams and the Vikings. That came down to a missed call of a face mask that led to a safety. Now the real question becomes, what are we supposed to do with this information when the referees come out and admit they're wrong? Like they don't change the score,
It
they
doesn't
don't
change
change the
anything.
outcome. Who does that even help when that information even comes out? And were the Vikings even screwed?
The Vikings were screwed on that call, but as the old adage goes, one call doesn't determine a game. So
That's
I know
fair.
Vikings fans are upset, but you had 4 quarters. All right, I'm not trying to hear that. But at the same time, that camera shot of the guy literally grabbing his face mask over the shoulder of the referee, he's right there, bro. You can't tell me you didn't see that,
How did you not see that? I don't even understand the whole concept of the idea that there's no other referee that didn't see it
right?
as well. Like you figure there'll
The,
be one in the back of the end zone and two on the side of the end zone because you got to see if anyone goes across the pylon. Someone has to be
the
there to see that, right?
On Fox, they have what's his name, Mike Pereira, in the booth with
Oh
them.
yeah,
Yeah,
of
like
course
no
he's.
one saw that over the whole field, over the line judges and the referee. So yes, they were screwed in that regard. All it does for me, it just makes me more and more say we need review. We need the ability to review, and we need more automated review. If we have cameras on it, just watching it, then we can have a review live. I notice they are doing that more where a play will happen. And before they get the next play off, the referees are waving it off like, no, 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 we got to take a look at this again. And
Ooh,
they've overturned a couple plays because of that.
ooh. I got to
You
ask you
have,
then, since we're transitioning in our technology to AI, should we just full on automate the officiating system across the
oh
board in
man.
sports? Let's get rid of the umpires. Let's put a Elon Musk robot out there and have them be able to call the strikes. Let's get rid of these line refs and have a real AI robot out there to be like, nope, incorrect play.
See, people wouldn't like that, but I guarantee you it would be more accurate than the referees that we
Ooh,
have. Human error will always be a factor when it comes to referees. Always. And that's in any sport, but especially in football and in baseball for some reason. But that's a different topic. But
yeah,
human error does come into play. Because last night, a robot would have caught that call and they would have said, 15 yards. There was a minute and some change left. The Vikings would have got moved out of the end zone. Yep. You never
would
know
have
what
been
would have
a,
happened.
would be a whole different outcome. Sucks for them with that window. The Vikings go. I'm sorry. The Rams go up 3-4, but the Vikings still look pretty good, 5-2. Let's go into the next game that's really coming up. Ravens versus Browns, divisional game. The Browns are limping in there with Jameis Winston, seeing how they,
Yeah.
I don't know, they cheered and celebrated Deshaun Watson getting hurt.
They did.
Like, is this going to be nasty karma for them going against the Ravens? Are the Ravens going to sit there and pluck out the eyeballs of those fans who saw their quarterback go down and celebrate it?
I think so. I'm not saying Jameis is going to be bad. I think he has a solid game, but they can't compete with the Ravens right now. The Browns defense isn't that great. It's not anywhere where it should be. No, Amari Cooper, he's gone. Deshaun Watson's out. David Njoku is talking about being traded, so he's not focused right now. Nick Chubb
Napoleon.
is back though. They do have Nick Chubb,
Hey, shining
uh,
light.
but but can they stop Derrick Henry? Can they stop Lamar Jackson? I don't even know who their other running backs and wide receivers are. Zay Flowers?
Yeah, yeah, he ain't getting his flowers. They're not. They're done. I don't trust them. I got the Ravens winning this too. I just feel
Yeah,
like they're a much better
Ravens are
team.
taking that.
I mean, hell, to me, outside of the Chiefs, which I guess you still have to count the Chiefs as the best team, I do think the Ravens are undoubtedly the best team. I'll say I think they're the best team in
in
football.
in football. Yeah.
Just in football, I think they're the best team in the league right now. But we'll see. Postseason kind of determines that. Moving on to the next game coming up this Sunday. I'm sorry, Colts, Texans, another division rival. Clashing of the AFC South. You have the Texans who's coming into this looking pretty good, 5-2. You have the Colts,
Mm.
they're getting themselves together as well. But who do you have coming out on this
I easily had the Texans on this
one?
one.
Easily.
I
Ooh.
don't trust Anthony Richardson even if he plays. Dude can't stay healthy. You are so big for no reason. You take one hit, he's out.
Oh, who you helping with all that size and girth?
Also, what did Colin Cowherd say? He says that you take the bad team that got beat the week before, the good team that got beat the week before. CJ Stroud had a bad performance. He's not going to have a bad performance twice. Then he
I
had
would
something
hope
like
not.
86 yards. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
was
wasn't
bad.
great. He didn't do very well in that game.
He'll
All right.
bounce back because I don't
So you
even
got
know
the
if Anthony
Texans.
Richardson is playing or not. Is he?
No, I don't think so. I think well, I don't know. I think it's a game time decision at best. So I have to check and
Texans.
see.
I'm taking the Texans on
All right. Well, I got to bring this game up. It's the Titans versus the Detroit Lions. Mind you now, the
that.
Titans, since moving to Tennessee, have never lost to the Detroit Lions. But right now, the Titans ain't barely winning a game since the first game of this year. While the Detroit Lions are doing the exact opposite. They are running through a lot of their teams and on a hot streak. Possibly the best team in the NFC by some teams' measures. But seeing how you have history playing with the current status of today, who do you have winning this between the Titans and the Detroit Lions?
My only question about this game is with the departure of Hopkins, who is now the number one receiver in Tennessee?
It's going to have to be Calvin Ridley.
Oh, they do have Calvin
Yeah,
Ridley, but Will Levis, I don't know what it is about Will Levis. I
me
really
too.
don't. I don't know what they saw in him before. I went to look up some of his highlights. He looked decent, but he does not seem to be ready for the NFL. I don't think he's NFL
Yeah, he's very erratic. You know,
ready. Yeah,
very dude. He's so emotional. He wears his emotion on the sleeve, and I think people saw that and thought he can galvanize his team and take them to the next level. But you know, you still have to have that thing called intangibles, and what I like to call the ability to play, which I'm not saying he doesn't have, but he doesn't show it in great shining format. I
mm,
do think they should have just waited a little bit. But you know, when he first came in, he dropped like 5 TDs, and everyone thought,
yeah.
"Oh, this guy's a world beater." I mean, Nick Foles came in on a random game against the Oakland Raiders and dropped 7 touchdowns, and eventually he won the Super Bowl. So I guess they thought the same thing in him. No,
I don't
what
think
do you got in there?
I don't think they
Go ahead.
want. I don't think they gave Malik Willis enough time, but I get why they moved off of him because he didn't look good.
Hmm, didn't look great, but so who you got winning this one?
I'm gonna have to go with Detroit. Detroit's on a hot
Oh,
streak. I don't really. I don't know who's upcoming on their schedule
for
because I haven't
Detroit?
looked at. Yeah, I don't haven't looked at Detroit's schedule.
Oh, I can tell you here in just a moment. Detroit, after the Titans game, will be facing the Packers in Green Bay.
That should be a good game. That should be a
Ooh.
really good game, actually. Now the
Mm.
thing is, Detroit has trouble with Green Bay. Green Bay beat them last year on Thanksgiving, and I think they beat them in Detroit too. Hmm,
Could
interesting.
oh. Well, moving on. Speaking of Green Bay will be going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This will be happening in Jacksonville. Jacksonville don't look too great right now. You had the prince who was promised. I don't know. Those promises seem to be broken. Don't be making promises you can't keep. Was the
Hmm,
name of the song I remember. And then they're going against Jordan Love, the new future bright star of the Packers. I mean, they just seem to keep rotating through QBs like it's just nothing. But who do you have winning this one?
this easily goes to Green Bay. The defense on the Jaguars is shockingly bad. They are like I've watched them against the Bears, and you would think Caleb Williams has been a vet in the league for 5, 6 years at least. He was dropping TDs on them like it was nothing. I don't get it. I don't know what happened. What happened to Doug Peterson? This is the same
Mm,
team he had last year, and they did better last year. Hmm.
ideally, you would think so. But I don't know. That's a good question. What did happen to Doug Peterson? This guy was brought in to kind of, I guess, they clean up the mess that Urban Meyer created. But at the same time, I feel like it's just the same. Like maybe there wasn't a mess to clean up. Maybe this
Right?
just who they are. Like
I
I
was
don't know.
say I was told Trevor Lawrence was a generational talent. People gave his first year away because of Urban Meyer, but where's the uptick in improvement?
That's a
Where's
good question.
the where is it? You were the number one pick in your draft. You're not looking like you were the number one pick in your draft. Actually, that's a topic for another time. But we need to delve into the quarterbacks from 2021 at some point. That might legitimately be one of the worst classes in a
Ooh, I like that idea. We
while.
can probably talk about that next time. The 2021 class. I'm gonna go ahead and make a note on that. But speaking of which, we do have the next game that'll be coming up. It will be the Cardinals versus the Dolphins in Miami. Tua
Tua,
has been cited.
man.
He is on the field. And when they asked him, is he going to be wearing one of those protective caps? He's like, what cap? I don't need no cap. I got a helmet. What are you talking about? I play football. This ain't no construction site. What do you need an extra helmet
Yeah.
for? So who do you have
I
winning this one though?
I want to say the Dolphins are going to win this game, but I have this really, really scary feeling they're going to have Tua run to prove a point, and he's going to get hit, and we're all going to be sitting there with bated breath for like a good 30 seconds. And if he doesn't get up and they cut to a commercial, that kid's career could be
Oh,
over.
don't say that.
I don't want to say that, but he's had 3 or 4 concussions already. Nasty concussions on top of that. But yeah, the Cardinals aren't good. So I think with the addition of Tua, because let's face it, without Tua, the Dolphins have looked terrible. Not even bad. They look awful. Like, you tell me this one guy who gets all this media hate leaves your team, Tyreek Hill, and you can't do anything? Credit to DeAndre Hopkins. He had like 12 different quarterbacks and was still producing. You lose Tua
Yep.
Tagovailoa and you disappear from the stat sheet? Nah, something's wrong, bro.
Yeah, it's ooh. So that's the question though. Is there something wrong with the QBs that they're putting out there, or is there something wrong with the scheme that they have in play? Like, it's just not friendly enough to get Tyreek the ball. Even though he's supposed to be the cheetah, he should always just kind of be that guy who can just make a play if the play can't be designed for him.
It feels like the opposite of the Niners because that's Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel lost one piece in his offense and his offense changed. And it was the quarterback. Kyle
Mm.
Shanahan, the whole argument is you could put anybody back there and he'll produce. Jimmy produced. Now Brock is producing. We don't talk about Trey.
Don't
Um,
talk about Trey. I
but
understand.
they replaced Tua with Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson, 2 guys who aren't very good, to be honest. I get it. Tyler has a Pro Bowl. I'm not taking that away from him. But why is no one producing? Why is Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, was it Devin Achane? Where are these guys at? You lose your quarterback and that's it?
That does become a question. I'm not sure
I
how the
saw
Dolphins, but mhm.
I saw Dak Prescott go down and the Cowboys won 4 games. That's all I'm saying.
So I take it you have the Cardinals winning this one. You said right?
Unfortunately, I do see the Cardinals winning because I feel like it's going to take Tua a second or two to get back in sync. Meanwhile, Kyler is already kind of in sync with his receivers, so I think him and Marvin Harrison, they'll be okay. Their defense isn't great though, so this could be a shootout. I say the Cardinals do take it though. 28-24,
Ooh, and you
Cardinals
got to
win.
score for that one.
Mm.
That. All right, moving on to game of the week. We're talking the Patriots and the Jets,
Oh my
the
God.
two most defining teams of the AFC East. One is 2-5, the Jets, who just
Uh,
can't seem to get it together no matter who they pick up. And of course, the Patriots, who just have lost all of their identities, is losing Brady and Belichick at this point. But who do you have winning this one?
I- the viewers, because I'm not watching the game.
oh,
Oh my
that's
God.
all.
This is
Yeah.
this is a hard game to calculate. The Jets don't look good.
Oh,
Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers like he used to be. I think he knows it. He's just not saying anything about it. But oh my God, the Patriots actually look decent with Drake May. I don't know if you've seen any of his play. Kid doesn't
very
look
low.
bad. He doesn't look bad. He has a bad O line, which is why they didn't want to play him. But I still think cohesively they looked when Drake May stepped into the lineup, the team looked better. Like they all boosted up. Like they want to play with him. They want to play for the coach now with Drake May. Rodgers is dysfunctional. The Jets are dysfunctional. They're talking about trading Garrett Wilson. I say the Patriots actually squeak out a win based on
Ooh,
defense.
that would be an interesting thing. So I got to, just staying on this for a little bit. The Patriots get this win. The Jets fired their head coach, Robert
Hmm.
Saleh, because they figured, wasn't getting anything accomplished. You got Aaron Rodgers. So they fired a coach. They bring in Devontae Adams, and nothing's
Hmm.
changed. It's the same ordeal. So you got to ask yourself, what do the Jets need to do to fix all of this? Or at
They
least
need to
improve?
they need to change who's under center. It's time for
Oh,
Rodgers to go.
Rodgers. Oh, wow, look at
Rodgers,
that.
I get it. You want to chase Brady. I get it. You're never going to catch him in rings. You're just not. You're not going to catch him in stats. You need to let it go. Like, dude, you're 40. You're coming off an Achilles. You don't look good. They had a segment on one of the other shows, like in the past 2 or 3 years before he got to the Jets, or even before his last year in Green Bay, he threw what, 16 interceptions over the past few years. He's thrown 19 since he's gotten to the Jets. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers anymore.
Wow.
They need a new
Damn.
quarterback. They need a new quarterback. They
I
were
hear that.
doing, they had better numbers with Zach Wilson. They had the same record, but Zach Wilson had better numbers.
Wow, that is wow. Facts are facts, right? There it is, Patriots. Um, Going back to the South, NFC South, we're looking at the Falcons versus the Buccaneers. Another divisional round. I like that these going to be a lot of divisional games this week. Makes things more interesting.
Hmm.
But who do you like in this? You know, both teams are 4-3. This is a true game to help themselves get on the top of that division board. Um, oh, who do you got winning this one?
I really liked the Buccaneers, but then they lost both Mike Evans and possibly Chris Godwin
Oh,
for the
wow.
whole season. He could be out the
Yeah,
rest of the year. Because
bad.
of that, they took a huge hit, and I don't see their run game making up for it. Unless Baker connects with those backup receivers a lot better, I think the Falcons take this one. Falcons don't
Right.
look bad. Falcons actually look kind of decent. It's funny
Man,
seeing Kyle Pitts actually doing something. It's crazy.
hey, no, get them a real quarterback back there. They finally got Kirk Cousins, a real QB.
And I could a real coach too, because Arthur Smith, nah. Mm-mm.
He wasn't cutting it. No, not feeling that guy. All right, going down. We got Philly, the Eagles, heading out to Cincinnati to face the
Ooh.
Bengals. Now the Bengals are 3-4 into this, while the Eagles are 4-2, looking pretty good. But who do you have winning this one?
If the Eagles have gotten their dysfunctions out the way, maybe they're a better team now. Because the Cincinnati defense is not good. If the Eagles can maintain, they have Saquon, they lean on Saquon, use AJ and Devontae when they need to, Eagles should win as long as Jalen doesn't turn the ball over. Because guess what he didn't do last week? Didn't turn the ball
Turn the
over, and
ball
they
over.
won.
Funny how
He
that
has,
works.
right? Just we can go back into the Niners at another point, but yeah, no, I think the Eagles take this. I think this is arguably an MVP level season for Joe Burrow statistically, but his team is not going to let him win MVP. His
Interesting.
team, his team is going to let him down.
All right,
Statistically,
well,
he's doing great.
so who you have winning this one again?
Eagles are going to win
Eagles.
that one.
Got
Eagles
that.
are going to win, and they're going to comfortably start taking a lead in that division because the Commanders. I don't know about Jaden Daniels. So,
Makes sense. All right, so we got two teams coming off of pretty big losses here. You got the Saints.
well,
Well, I don't know if they have an identity. They just
uh,
re-signed Alvin Kamara. We'll see if that makes any benefit. Going against the Chargers, who they haven't really been lighting the world up either, coming off a pretty bad loss themselves. But who do you have winning this one?
is Derek Carr playing?
Uh, he's not listed as being hurt or anything. He should. Let me see. Do they have him? Did you say?
He's been out.
Oh,
He's been out the
you
past
say he didn't.
couple.
They're just saying he didn't practice, but it's not clear whether or not he won't play. It's just he did not practice.
I'll keep it simple. If Derek Carr plays, they probably win. If Derek Carr doesn't play, they lose. They're
All
not
right,
beating the
there it
Chargers.
is.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Bills and Seahawks. What do you got in
Ooh,
this one?
I know who I want to win. I would
Yeah.
prefer the Bills win here. I don't know. They got Amari Cooper. They have. No, I don't know how good the Bills defense actually is, but I know the Seahawks defense is not good, and they had trouble containing Brock. Brock didn't even run that much. They're not going to be able to stop Josh Allen from running. I say the Bills get a double-digit win here. Hopefully.
All right.
Seahawks,
Uh,
the Seahawks need to lead. The Seahawks actually need to be more like the Jim Harbaugh Niners to actually be successful. They have a really good uh, two running backs. They have Charbonnet and they have Walker, and they don't use them nearly enough.
Well, I just want to emphasize because you mentioned you weren't too sure how good the Bills defense is. The Bills defense, like they are ranked fourth in pass defense and rushing defense,
Oh shit.
so
Well,
it may not be too bad. We'll see how it
no,
plays
actually,
out.
yeah, no, that's not good for the Seahawks at all. This is the same team that lost to the Giants. So I'm gonna
There you
comfortably
go.
take the Bills and
All right then. Going on to the next game, you have the Washington Commanders, who will be hosting the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams coming in 4-2 against the 5-2 Commanders. Didn't Drake May get hurt?
Jaden
Did Drake?
Daniels. Yeah,
Did Jake Daniels? Didn't Jake
that's
Daniels get
that's the
hurt?
thing. This was supposed to be the big rookie battle, but he is hurt. So I don't know. That was his whole knock is that they thought he was going to be too fragile, and he took one good shot to the ribs and he was out. I don't know if he's
Mm.
back in or not. Yeah, he was last listed as questionable. But
Yeah,
that offense with Jaden is really good, but their defense is like 31st or 30th or something like
no, they're
that.
pretty high packed.
Caleb has he's gotten his feet under him. I'd say based on the defense, the Bears should win. Without Jaden Daniels, the Bears are definitely going to win. If Jaden Daniels does play and he's limited, that could actually impact him because he likes to run. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Bears. I'll take the Bears on that one. I'll give Nick Wright his flowers and give the Bears that one.
All right, moving on to the next game, 425. You have the Panthers going to Mile High to face the Broncos. Sean Payton getting a chance to face against the Panthers again. Do we even need to talk about this game?
I was thinking at the beginning of the season this could be a tank bowl, but now the Broncos actually look like they could be something. Bryce
Turning
Young's
around.
returning. I don't really see what could have changed that much in 3 weeks since he's been out, 3 or 4 games since he's been out. No receivers have changed. They're talking about trading away receivers. I'm going to take the Broncos. Their defense is good. Bo Nix is playing better than Bryce Young has played since he's been in the league. And that's not a good setup for that kid. That kid is going to have problems after he leaves the Panthers.
Mm. All right, we're going back to it. We talked about the Chiefs before. We're talking about the Chiefs again because the Chiefs will be playing against the Raiders. Now, this is going to be an interesting game. Usually, well, I guess there is going to be that interesting
Yeah,
because who do the Raiders have at this point? Oh, I just realized it. They're probably going to get stomped out in this game. You would think so, right?
you would
What do
think.
you
Yeah.
see?
Patrick Mahomes has never lost in Allegiant Stadium. That's the end of the sentence.
That's the sentence.
He's not going to lose there. He's not losing to them with what maximum of what Gardner Minshew back there. No, no Devontae Adams, no solid quarterback, a coach that is nowhere near the level of Andy Reid. They got fluke lucky last year with that beatdown that they had in Kansas City. It's not happening. The Chiefs, when they want to do something, they're gonna do it. Patrick Mahomes is going to go out this game, and I think he's actually going to have a good game. I think he's going to throw 2 or 3 touchdowns, probably one to DeAndre Hopkins just to prove that he can. They're going to win comfortably. I'd say something like 33 to what, 13, 16, something like that.
Dig
If
it.
that much. If that much.
All right. All right. Well, last game on Sunday. This will be the Sunday night thriller.
I
This is
know
the
what
one
this
that
is.
everyone's going to be waiting for because there's a lot to see happening right now. It is the Cowboys of Dallas heading out to the 49ers. What do they play now? Santa Clara?
Santa Clara. Yeah.
San Francisco? Santa Fe? Well, the San Francisco treat. Who's winning this one?
Well, I know who I want to win this game. I think that should be obvious. We have abused the Cowboys over the past 4 or 5 years. There's blood in the water right now. If I'm Mike McCarthy, you got embarrassed the last time you were on the field in your house. You've lost the last 4 games. You need a win. If you don't win this game, you're 3-4, and you're in a bad spot in your division. The Niners are weak. The Niners have blood in the water. They have no solid receivers. Dallas needs this game. On the other side of the same coin, you have the 49ers. They are failing to meet their expectations. They came into this season as NFC champions. You are 3-4. You've lost 2 games in the division. You've lost 3 games in the conference. This is not good. You need this win. I trust Kyle Shanahan more than I trust current Mike McCarthy to get a win. I say the 49ers win 28-26. It's going to be closer than
Ooh,
you
close. That's real
think. Yes.
close. Uh-huh.
It should.
Safety close.
It's going to be a game where it's the Niners are going to jump out to like a 13-3 lead, and you're going to be like, "Oh man, the Niners are going to run away with this," and then it's going to be 16-3, and you're going to be like, "Okay, cool." Then it's going to be 16-10, and everyone's going to be like, "Gosh, well, they're going to blow another lead." The Cowboys will probably take the lead in the third quarter somewhere, and if the Niners don't get the lead back before the fourth quarter starts, the game's over. That's it. The game's over.
Makes sense.
But I would
All right.
say
Well,
I would say players to watch out for. I don't know if fantasy is even part of this show or not. I think CeeDee Lamb has a good game, which means Dak Prescott has a decent game. I think he is going to throw a pick or two. And I think George Kittle has a game. This is going to be a George Kittle
interesting.
game.
All right. Keep that in mind. And last game, this will be the Monday
Oh,
nighter,
let's
be the
say Monday
Giants
night.
versus the Steelers. Um, I mean, the Giants don't look too good. The Steelers, Mike Tomlin. Yeah, they do what they're doing. Russell Wilson going out and doing what he's doing. Another prime time for this team, but who do you have winning this one?
Russell looked great in his debut. I was a little upset they benched Fields, but hey, Russ maybe still got it. The Giants are not good. They're just not a good team. And
It is
Russell's
what
going
it
to
is.
win. The Steelers' defense is better than the Giants' offense. The best offensive piece they had was Saquon Barkley, and without him, who do they have? No one scares you on that team. There's no one. You're not game planning for the Giants like, oh man, we got a game plan for Daniel Jones. Let me sit down and do some extra work. No, they're not. Steelers win. Not going to be a pretty game because the Steelers like to play ugly football. And if the Steelers get too far above 500, they start acting weird. So they're going to be close.
No,
16,
that's
17-10. They're not going to win big. 21-10 at most. Steelers win.
fair. Oh, it just keeps getting worse as you think about it. Like, just pile
Yeah.
it on, why don't you? No, but I mean,
I,
hey, that's not too bad.
I
hmm
like the Giants.
Awesome. Well, not a bad rundown. We're probably going to find a way to fine tune this and even try to
Yeah.
do some pick'ems in a sense, and even
I'm about to say
find
that.
some ways to really make a little bet on this. Hey, you speak of fantasy. Is there any other fantasy pointers you want to put out there before we wrap it up, though?
Oh, who did was it Chiefs Raiders? If I have Patrick Mahomes or Xavier Worthy or DeAndre Hopkins, I'm playing them this week. If you have Brock Purdy, George Kittle, maybe Debo, depending on his status, I'd say play him this week. I would, until other further notice, I would play the Chiefs defense in any game and probably play the Niners defense this week. And I would play I would play the Ravens defense this week too, probably. So they're playing what, the Browns?
Yeah, the Browns, the 1-6 Browns, who don't really have much on their offensive side.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's Browns. Yeah, I'd say the Ravens defense is gonna have a good day too.
Awesome. Well, there it is for you folks. First round of going for two. We went for seven on this one. Knocked it all out the park. Yeah. Well, any final words before we sign out?
You know, I'm gonna revisit this final moment next week. But as of right now, I am just hoping that my team does what they're supposed to do and beat the Cowboys. That's it.
There it is. Well, if nothing else, folks, I do want to thank you. Come join us again. Find us on the socials. You have a social media you want to plug or anything like that?
Not at the moment, but you can follow me on Twitter at DadJokesNoKids, and I'll be updating that more in the coming weeks.
Excellent. And you can find me somewhere on the interwebs, ABM, wherever you type in ABM and the name pops up, it's probably me. But don't worry, we can't if you can't find us, we'll find you. We'll meet in the middle and discuss football again. But in the meantime, I want to thank you and hope everyone has a good rest of your day.
All right.
Awesome.